Good morning and welcome back to Tarot Tats and Tea. Here I am, Sunday morning, Sunday comfies, chilling out for the day and just spending the day doing things I like. So I thought we'd get back into looking at tarot for writers and do the next step. Did I apply what I did in the last activity to my writing? I actually did. I had to tweak here and there and go a little bit deeper in and sort of see what else the cards from that particular reading had to offer me. And to be honest with you, it really did give me food for thought and enabled me to focus on my characters, enabled me to say, well, you know, what's blocking me and how can I move on with this character's development and activities, etc. And because I was thinking along the lines of tarot, because I was thinking of the characteristics and the interpretation of the cards, it made me look at my character and see, I don't want to change the character to fit the reading, but I want the reading to lift up and boost my character. So it has moved on and I've another chapter written, which is great work. But before we continue on, I just want to clear up my table here because I am this afternoon going to be making myself a Halloween wreath for our front door. I've lots of bits and bobs here, leaves and little pumpkins and ornamental flowers. So I'm just moving these off my desk so that I've got room to be able to carry on with our tarot. Give me 2 seconds. Okay, I'm back. Now today I'm going to hop on straight through to chapter 9. So we looked at a beginning activity to start us off, okay? And I sort of went back into my story and applied what I found out, or what I sort of, the activities I was doing, and applied them to my character and made a few tweaks here and there, which actually enabled my thought processes to flow easier and made me look at my character but also look at my story differently. So there have been a number of changes. Now within this book you go on to do things like the writer's Celtic cross. Okay, so we have the Celtic cross here and we sort of, let's just nip back here just a little bit here. Sorry, I'm missing out something there that I was going to discuss with you. Storyline and plot, looking at the beginning, the middle and the end. And looking at, so for the example that's been given here, there's three card spread, beginning, middle and end. So for the beginning there was the Ace of Cups, for the middle there was the Nine of Pentacles, and for the end there was the Two of Cups. So if you've got a story, say for the beginning, we're looking at the example story here. A young woman finds herself pregnant and unmarried. Her boyfriend abandoned her, but she refused to relinquish the infant. Her parents died when she was a child, and now she thinks this baby is her only chance of having a family of her own. So that is all coming up under the Ace of Cups. So again, it's full of emotion. It's full of being strong and being the ace, being strong, being, you know, a new beginning for her in a different, you know, her life is taking on a different role. The middle is the Nine of Pentacles. So the young woman goes to live with her great aunt, an octogenarian who owns a vineyard in Northern California. Over the next few years, as she raises her child, she struggles to live up to the old woman's high expectations and strict demands. Along the way, she unexpectedly learns almost everything there is to know about winemaking the hard way. It is a competitive and sometimes underhanded business. So with the Nine of Pentacles, it's sort of after the 8, as we know, and the 8 is all about hard work. So getting to that Nine of Pentacles, getting to the point where she can sit back and relax in what she's worked hard for. So let's have a look at how the Two of Cups affects the outcome. Okay. So her aunt dies. The young woman is utterly bereft. She didn't realise how frail her strong-willed mentor had become, or how much she had come to love and respect her. She inherits the vineyard, but nearly loses it to a corrupt estate attorney. As at the same time, she's forced to fend off a takeover bid by the owner of a neighbouring vineyard. In a surprise twist, she realises that she's fallen in love with him, and that he has loved her ever since the day they met. They marry and merge their two estates. So you can see how the beginning, the middle and the end have given you the bones of the start of the story, the middle of the story and its conclusion. So when you're starting off, if you have an idea and you're not quite sure which way your character's going or which way your story's going, an activity like that is something that will give you trigger thoughts, and it will help you construct in your notes everything that you want to try and incorporate in your story. And from there, once you have the bones, that's when you build around it. So like I say, it's got a lot of types of activities like this. I'm not going to be going through all of them, as I said, because I'm sort of past that at this section, and I'm in the writer's block section. The one thing I will quickly look at is the Celtic cross, the writer's Celtic cross. For more than a century, tarot enthusiasts have relied on the Celtic cross to streamline their readings. You can readily adapt the spread for a writing project. In this version, the writer's Celtic cross, it can help you lay out a standard plot. So, for instance, your card number 1, which is the centre here. Let's just have a look at here, where we would have number 1 here. Okay, that is our protagonist, our hero. Okay, the setting. Is the setting. Number 2 is the protagonist, and number 3 is the antagonist. So rather than just having 1 or a card crossing, you've got the 1, 2, and 3. So your setting with your protagonist and crossing it is the antagonist. Then number 4 underneath, we have the foreshadowing. And then number 5, the exposition. Number 6, inciting force. Number 7 is rising action and complications. Then we have crisis, climax, falling action and resolution. So it takes you through literally, again, the whole of the story. So building on the bones that you had and further enhancing it. And it explains as you go through what each section is. So the setting, they had the 3 of Wands. Our story is based on a fort, a battlement, or a protected enclave of some sort. Let's look at the next card for clarification. This story will be set in the Garden of Eden. So the protagonist, they had the lovers, Adam and Eve. The angel Raphael are the most obvious figures in this card, but let's make the serpent our protagonist. We'll call him Samael, one of the ancient Hebrew names. The antagonist is the Queen of Swords, sometimes said to be a divorce. This must be Lilith, Adam's first wife, and so on and so forth. Okay, so let's skip on and have a look at chapter 9, which is breaking writer's block. So, as it states right at the very beginning here, that a blank page can be extremely intimidating if you are trying to create a story, a poetry, anything, sort of any literature work, even a painting. When you're starting off with a blank canvas, you have an idea, but where do you start? Okay. And once you sit down and apply yourself to focusing on your story, your piece of art, whatever it is, it's amazing how quickly thoughts grow, and they sort of grow arms and legs and roots and go in all directions. And it can go for a while and build on like that, but then suddenly there's the potential where you hit the wall. If you, for any reason, me being that this was my reason, you just put it to one side, it's all flowing nicely, but there's something there and you think, do you know something, I'm just taking a break, and you're not quite sure why. It might be you're not in the right frame of mind. How getting back to your project can be a chore. How suddenly you develop this, well, where do I go from here? You might have been sitting there absolutely going along a track like a train, but you take a break for whatever reason that might be, and you think, that's a project that took off and just suddenly died. But why should it be? If you want to create a story, you want to write, get back into it. Let's have a look. So, how can we get tarot cards to help us? Now, the tarot deck that we're using for this is the World of Visions Tarot. But for a second, I just want to have a look at our standard tarot deck, okay? So this is the standard tarot deck. I'm using the RWS 2.0 by James Ratcliffe here. And let's have a look now. First of all, complete description. So my main character is actually taking a little back seat at the moment, and we're looking at some of the foils. And this person has a task to do, has a deadline to meet, has a little bit of an investigation to be getting on with. But what's his next stop? He's got to confront somebody. How does he go about it? So let's have a look. I'm going to take the top card off here, okay? Describe the single card. So putting the thoughts of my character to one side for a moment, let's describe a single card, okay, in as much detail as we can. Get my notebook out. Oops, sorry. So let's have a look. We start at the top of the card and we work our way down. So straight up, this gives me an idea. The type of day. Looking at the top of the card, we look up here, okay? We have a lovely sunny day, a lovely, beautiful, I'm going to call that, the sun's high there, so I'd say it's midday. So we've got the Knight of Pentacles, Knight of Pence, and let's have a look again. We've got high noon, because the sun is really up there quite high. We've got beautiful sunny skies. Working our way down, we have a knight on horseback. Okay, we're looking at the Knight of Pentacles, but let's look at the day. A man who's sitting here, he has a task to do, a journey to make, okay? So our knight is in all his regalia, and the sun's beaten down off him. He must feel like a plant in a greenhouse. He might have been riding his horse since this morning. He could be weary. You know, why is he holding a coin? Why is he holding a pentacle? He needs information. Is he buying his information? Is he... This is not, you know, coming in as your knight in shining armour for somebody else. We are now talking about a character and the characteristics and what we see. We're delving into this card. So, right now, maybe he needs to trade something for the information he's looking for. Our knight here as well, how do I know he's looking for information? Well, this is where I'm bringing an aspect of my character in. What's he doing with the coin? Maybe he's trading off a coin, or the coin would be just sort of a symbol here. Maybe he's trading, maybe he's going to take somebody out for lunch and have a chat and find out what he needs to find out on his, you know, horse, which could be his car, on his mode of transport. So our knight here is representing that journey, representing journeying across land, okay? Journeying across land, maybe a little weary, a bit battle worn, and trying to get to the point where he needs to, okay, maybe softly approach hasn't worked, so now he has to put on the little bit of the thumb screws as being in a more official capacity of a knight instead of our fool on his journey, okay? So we're at that. This is the part of the everyday activities of the character. It's not his main traits, but on his journey through the story, he's got to the point where he needs to find that information, and that information may have to be in the form of a trade. He either pays for the information or he's carrying out an activity. The horse represents his mode of transport over land, and you know, maybe he still has some distance to go. He might have covered an awful lot to get where he is now, but there's still a little bit of distance to go before he actually achieves what he's aiming for, okay? So look at the colours, these oranges. To me, they're very positive colours. Look at, he's dressed in reds, okay? And the horse is dressed in reds and oranges. And to me, that's success. It's passion, it's determination, and it's positive. It will have a good outcome. That's what I feel from these lovely warm colours, these colours that sort of say, keep on going, you're getting there, you're on the right track. You know, we have the green on his helmet here, and the green for me is growth. We've the green on the land here, and trees in the distance. We've got ploughed fields, and it's all about growth. It's about continuation. It's about being able to gain what he needs through hard work. It's not easy work. You know, ploughed fields, growth, planting and growing. Even our horse has, look, they're like oak leaves, okay? So they're like oak leaves. So again, that oak, the wiseness about it. So there's a wiseness. This person's not a silly individual. This person thinks. Their thoughts grow and they blossom, and he is on the right track to achieving what he's looking for. And he's looking for information, and he will get that information. He might have to go about it a sort of softly way. He might have to say, well, maybe I'm going to have to take this one out for lunch to find out what I want there. Maybe I'm going to have to go and say, right, okay, I might have to need documentation. I might have to go to registrar offices, etc., and pay for certificates on this, that and the other. Whatever information the character is looking for, but it all has this warm glow about it. It all has this feeling of success. It has this feeling of strength. Look at the strength of the horse. That's more like a big sort of cart horse as opposed to a sleek race horse, where this is built for the journey. This is built for duration and a long journey and getting there. Again, in all the signs of growth, all the signs of success, and beautiful trees in the distance there. Okay, so that's how that I feel the character that I'm talking about at the moment, that all those attributes. So my character's got to a point, and the character is, this is one of the protagonist foils. That's where I'm at the moment. And this protagonist's foil, now remember, the foil is the friend of the protagonist. Our protagonist is our hero. The antagonist is our hero's counterpart, you know, or opposition. The foils, you have your protagonist foils and your antagonist foils. They're the friends and the support and the other people that are perhaps on this journey with the hero, with the protagonist or with the antagonist, and how they help those main characters along the route. So this one at the moment needs to seek out information in order to help the main character. There's the potential for growth. There's the potential for him to find out. And he might have to manipulate it slightly through payment or through you know, there's a swapping of skills. We've got all the significant indicators there of growth, the greens, the oranges or yellows, the beautiful warmth of the sun. You can actually feel the warmth in that card if you can imagine yourself stepping into that warm sun. It's just amazing. And all the colours that support positive movements. If you look, we have on our knight here, he has his spurs to spur on the journey, putting his foot down if he has to. You know, he has been battle worn, he has come through a lot, because if you look at his cloak, it's got little dark patches like little tears, as if to say, well, I've got myself here, I'm still alive, I'm a little bit battered, a little bit worse for wear, but I still have all the potential for growth. I have what I need to take this, to go to the next level on this journey, to find out what I need to find out. Okay, so that's giving me, I'm going to pop that into the cover of my book here. Oh, there we go, pop that into there, and I'm going to keep that there for now because that's a particular character I'm working on, and that card seems to be giving me, right, this is where he's at, that's what he needs to do, but how is he going to do it? Well, he's going to possibly trade. It could be a trade-off. It could just be a case of that it's coming to the point where he has to act officially as a knight instead of being our fool's journey, where he's, you know, where the protagonist, doing the job of the protagonist, because the protagonist might not have the knowledge or the muscle necessary to get the information desired. Okay, so that is sort of instant inspiration. Okay, now, what does the book tell us? So you've got sort of the language of symbols, you've got zoom lens, which is zooming in onto the different aspects of the cards, looking at the finer, smaller detail, which if we just nip back to this card we did, we could do more. We've got symbols on the reins. Well, what do they stand for? Look, look at we delved deeply into the tears of his robe here, and his horse's blanket, or his have we noticed them before? Have we as individuals noticed them before? We've got indicators of growth. Have we focused on the greenery on his helmet before, or on the greenery on the front of the horse? Have we looked at the furrowed land behind him? So we have stepped in. This is done very quickly for this video, but you can take time out to sit. I have my candles lit, I have my incense going. I like to be, when I'm looking at tarot, to have everything sort of lit. It's my own little ritual. You don't have to have that, but for me it puts me in that mind space. The incense gives me that nice, this is the time I can close my eyes, go and sit in that chair over there, look at that card, close my eyes and step into it. Even have a discussion with the character here if that's needed. Okay, so we've zoom lensed in, mix and match, pull characteristics from the figures in 2 or more cards and compare them to create an entirely new personality. Well, that's great. We'll do that as an example now, but I don't want to change the personality of my character. But taking this card, this is the current character. Let's lift 2 cards off the top. Can we have a change of personality? Make him a little bit more humble. He's a load to carry, but he's developed these through the hard work that he has been to. As we said, he's come through a little bit battered and worse for wear in one sense. He's still got a lot of energy to continue on, but he needs to be a little bit more humble. So maybe, if our character was, say, bossy and a little bit, well, I've money here, I want this information, and you're going to give it to me. Bring him down, make him a little bit humble, make him see that other people have loads of their own to carry. He's carrying his load, but he needs to be a more patient individual. He needs to be more caring of others, and maybe he needs to get off his high horse and help this person lift their load. Alternatively, it could be that the person he's speaking to will be the person that will help him carry his load, and it will become that little bit more easier, and a job shared leads to success. Okay, so that's sort of mixing and matching. Timed writing. This is a staple of many writing practices. Simply set a timer for 5 or 10 minutes and begin. It doesn't matter what you write, your only goal is to start writing and keep writing until your time is up. Timed sessions force you to write without over-analysing your efforts or doubting your talents. They also help unblock your communication skills and prime the pump for further work, I should say. So if you're doing a limited timed writing session, you must stop when the timer goes off. Otherwise there's no point to doing it, is there really? If you're using the lesson simply as an icebreaker, however, you can keep writing for as long as you like. So we're not using this as an icebreaker, we're using this to get our brains working, I'm using this, at this point I'm saying you're using the royal we. I'm using this to unblock what's blocked. So far, we've got some idea of where this character's going. So you can start off, this card reminds me of, this image makes me feel, this card makes me think what, this card makes me want what. We've got all those virtually answered. This card makes me feel the warmth, that you can feel how hot and sweaty is in that midday sun, and you can almost feel that when you step into it. You can feel the heat on your back. It makes me think, why is he looking a little bit worn, a little bit battered here? But if you look, the tears in his gown, which if we look here, you can see the little black, I'll use my pen to point, sort of there, coming down here, and look, it's looking a bit raggedy, but that's on the back of him. Look what we've got growth here in the mind, growth, okay? the potential to trade off something. So, we can feel, we can see what he wants. We can, it reminds me, of our person, the horse being a metaphor for his mode of transport. The knight's armour being there for the hardness of the individual. Maybe he does need, as we said, to be a little bit more humble in order to be achieving what he wants to achieve. Okay? Snapshots is choosing a single card and write on a page a one-page story that explains or describes what's happening. Now you see, when you're doing these sort of activities, you don't need to have to constantly be focusing on your character. What you can do is pick up a card, and we've got the Ace of Swords. What is that Ace of Swords telling you here in story format? Separate it from your character for now and just write down what is the ace. To me, that's victory. Victory through battle, victory through crosswords, potentially crosswords, but being the victor, okay? Having to have fought verbally, physically, mentally to get where you are, but ultimately achieving success, okay? That sort of thing. So, this goes on, it looks at inanimate objects, outer space, role reversal, house of cards, etc. And these are all activities that you can do with your deck of cards, with this book, sort of memory game. Draw a card and imagine that it represents a snippet of memory from your own childhood or from the childhood of a fictional character. Embellish it, disguise it, and turn it into a story. So let's pop that one there. We've looked at that one, pop it underneath. I tell you what, the courts are really out for us today. So let's have a look at this. Looking at our memories, taking that just to get our thought processes going, using that card. Close your eyes and take yourself back to your childhood. How is that Page of Pentacles sort of helping you draw from your childhood? For me, I'm going to associate this to me and draw it back on my own childhood. Okay. Beautiful sunny skies. We've got the potential of a little bit of a stormy clouds ahead, possibly. It's a page, it's a younger person, a younger me, going out, learning something new, taking steps into the world, my first foray living away from home. So, although it's not childhood per se, this is taking me back 40 years nearly. 40 years when we moved from one country to another, starting out new, not just because of my age being younger, but new because this is going to be a new way of life and sort of beginning again. Leaving green fields and mountains and trees and beautiful sunshine, setting off to cloudier climes, colder weather. What I enjoy about that past, I loved the warmth, I loved the greenery, I loved the ability to be able to just jump into a swimming pool because it was completely warm all the time. Wearing lighter clothes and exploring what I wanted for me. And that newness, when we made that move, that step, took me down different paths. Looking back, am I glad we made that move? Absolutely, because I wouldn't be the person I am now had we not. So, that's what you can do. Just looking at different ways to get your tarot deck to work for you. So we're coming to the end of chapter 9. Okay, now here in chapter 9 there's a huge amount. I have just given some examples of how I would use the cards, going through what's said here. You've got things here such as snapshots, what happens next, flash fiction, and it's pulling cards and looking at the so sort of. If we look at flash fiction, what's happening now? What happens next? Draw a card and write about what you imagine might happen next. So we had our knight there. We've looked at our page. Pop the page back down there. And what do you think might happen next? And we've got the hermit. Well, perhaps our knight needs to reflect, step back, and after we looked at the other cards, reflect on, has he been too much of a knight, and not compassionate enough? Does he need to reflect on his own actions, or does he need to reflect on the information he's gained from his original task of finding that information? Maybe he's now got this, he became a little bit more compassionate, he found out what he needed to find out. Now he has to go in, think on that information that he's found out. What's he going to do with it? How is he going to make the information he's found out help our protagonist down the line, help our protagonist to achieve what she needs to achieve? Okay, so this is how it prompts your thoughts. Now, had I come here pre-prepared with any of those sort of scenarios in my mind? No, I hadn't. I've just got up, washed and brushed my teeth, combed my hair, still in my PJs, having just made my bed, and I've pulled out my deck. Haven't even looked at my story this morning. Just got what I can remember, where my character left off, how we want to move. And you can have seen how those cards have enabled me to create more of a scenario for my character to follow. Do I advise you taking this step if you're writing and you just need prompts? Yes, of course I do. Now, as you can see, there's an awful lot to read. There are lots of hints and tips that you can follow in order to unblock writer's block. You've then got games for writing groups. So if you're working in a group, or if you've got a group of friends who are also wanting to write, wanting to create, and it doesn't necessarily have to be writing a story, as I said before. It could be writing poetry, it could be creating a painting. You've got activities you can do. You know, check in as your meeting begins, ask everyone to choose a card to describe his or her recent work. Invite participants to go through the deck and find their own card, or draw cards at random to challenge everyone's symbolic awareness and storytelling ability. So it's not only helping you look at characters in your book, it's helping you open your mind to being creative overall. Okay? It's not focusing just on a book, it's focusing on your abilities to get your mind working, giving you the key to unlock your imagination. So I'm going to carry on now. Following page, poetic inspiration. Okay, so folks, I hope you've enjoyed this, and like I say, I'm going to head on now, and our next chapter for the next video is going to be the tarot cards as writing coach. Take care, have a lovely Sunday, and enjoy whatever you may be doing. Bye now.